On this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County podcast, I sit down with Lorie Jones, the general manager of the Old North State Food Hall at exit 97 off of I-95 in Selma, North Carolina. We talk about all the different vendors that are there, the fact that they now have a catering company there at the food hall, and a lot of the different ways that the food hall is involved in the community, including helping with the Johnston County Robotics team. It was a very fascinating conversation. We also talked a little bit about her journey in the food service business and how she ended up in Johnston County running this food hall for adventure development. Listen in. I think you will find it interesting and fascinating, and you'll be hungry when you get done listening.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Johnston County, brought to you by Breeden Law Office. Our host, Jonathan Breeden, an experienced family lawyer with a deep connection to the community, is ready to take you on a journey through the area that he has called home for over 20 years. Whether it's a deep dive into the love locals have for the county or unraveling the complexities of family law, Best of Johnston County presents an authentic slice of this unique community.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Johnston County podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden, and on today's episode, we have Lorie Jones, who's the operator manager of the North State Food Hall at exit 97 off of I-95 in Selma, North Carolina, which is part of Adventure Development and in the old JR's location for those of y'all that have been around Johnston County for a few years. She's going to talk to us a little bit about the vendors that are there, the catering that they offer, some of the events they're doing, and how so they're very involved in the community, their community involvement, and why you should go and visit the North State Food Hall. But before we do that, I would like to ask you to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're seeing it, whether it be YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Spotify, wherever you're seeing this podcast, so that you'll be aware of future episodes of the Best Johnston County podcast. The Best Johnston County podcast comes out every single Monday and has now for well over a year, and we've had a lot of great guests. So go back and listen to some of the previous ones. It's a lot of evergreen content with local officials, interesting people, community leaders. That's what this podcast is about, is to make Johnston County look positive, and that's what we're doing today. Welcome, Lorie.
Thank you for having me.
All right, no problem. I appreciate you coming. I know you're new to the food hall there, and we met back during Christmas, and I was like, well, I got to get somebody from the food hall to come on here because I talk about the food hall all the time. So anyway, as you can tell, I like to eat and I like the food hall. But anyway, tell the audience what your name is, sort of your educational background, and how you ended up running this food hall.
Well, my name is Lorie Jones, and I'm originally from Clarion, Pennsylvania. And I started out going to school years and years ago, and I thought, boy, it'd be fun to work in a restaurant. I didn't need to. My dad owned a grocery store, but I thought, boy, this would be fun. So I went and applied for a serving position at a restaurant. The lady looked at me. I smiled quite a bit, and she said, I don't think you can do this, but I like your smile. I'm going to hire you. I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. So I go and I do a day's work. Everybody's real mean because I don't know what I'm doing. They weren't mean. I just didn't know what I was doing. And I told her, I said, I don't think this is for me. And she said, oh, yes, it is. And I became a corporate trainer for that company 4 months later. I ended up not finishing school back then. And then I started working for a company called Eaton Park. It's a corporate in Pittsburgh. It's a smiley face cookie. And after that, I actually became a district manager at Denny's and then a general manager and multi-unit manager at Olive Garden and Starbucks.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Well, you've worked for several
Corporates.
National chains.
Yes, corporates. And then I got a phone call one day and said, we think you would be a great fit for the food hall. And I said, okay. So I went in and visited the food hall, and I'm like, wow, what a concept. All these nationalities under one roof. So I went and interviewed and I got the job, not because I'm a Steelers fan, but because of the background. And I'm really happy to be here, really happy to be in Johnston County. And it's probably one of the best moves I've made.
So when did you move to Johnston County?
Well, I live in Franklin County.
Oh, you live in Franklin County?
Yes.
Okay.
I moved here 12 years ago.
Okay.
Actually, the Olive Garden moved me down here I worked in 60 Olive Gardens. So I've opened them, did revamps, and my husband said, you've got to stay at home. I was 2 years in executive apartments. He's like, you've got to start staying put. So they moved me down here to go to Capitol Boulevard, and then here we go from here.
Well, that Olive Garden has been on Capitol Boulevard for a long time.
Yes.
I'm not an Olive Garden person. I probably have only eaten at Olive Garden a couple times in my life, but I know people that are raving fans of it, and clearly it's been successful as one of the leading chains in the country for what it does. So anyway, so what did you learn before we'll get to the food hall in a minute, but what did you learn about the restaurant business and customer service that you believe is important?
Well, one thing I want to tell people, to be in the restaurant business all your life, you have to be a little bit crazy. And so, because you have to be used to turning and twisting and making so many changes. If you don't like change, you shouldn't be in the restaurant business. That's just how it is. You always have to learn how to accommodate change. Pandemic taught us that, how we had to change from eating the takeout and things like that. The main thing is you just have to make the guest happy. It's easy. Everybody's like, how do you do it? You make the guests happy. Not hard.
Right, customer service. And that's what I try to do here with this office and all of our employees is, focus on customer service, try to make them as happy as possible. We don't always control the outcomes because of judges and facts and stuff like that, that kind of stuff. So I think that's right. I think if you focus on the customer and what the customer wants, that was a recipe for success.
And also your employees, because they're your guest. When somebody works for you, they're your guest. And if you make your employees happy, they're going to make your guests happy. It's just a chain down effect.
That's true. That's true. And I have made a big effort here to invest in the employees and their happiness over the last few years. And that's paid off because it's led to people staying longer and less turnover. I know the food quick service business can have a lot of turnover, and it's important to try to slow that down. What are some of the things you've seen that have allowed you to be able to keep employees maybe longer than your average time in the quick serve restaurant business?
I think working side by side with them, also getting your hands dirty, showing them that when it gets rough in there, you're ready to get down and dirty with them. Whether it be cooking with them or helping them carry out food, doing whatever, knowing they're right there with you, and always come into work every day the same, positive, and just keep things going because you're the captain of the ship. So no matter if it's like things are happening, you always keep that positivity.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea. So if you're out there and you own a business or whatever, I think that's good for any business owner, whether it's in the restaurant business or not. So let's talk a little bit about the North State Food Hall. What is it? Where is it? When's it open?
Well, it is on 67 Junior Road in Selma, right beside JR's. And basically it is a bunch of restaurants under one roof. So you have all kinds of nationalities, okay? So as I start through the food hall, I think of the gourmet hot dog, and they have wings, they have hot dogs, all kinds of appetizers. And the one thing I can say is one thing about all the food hall vendors, they operate with a passion. Every time you see one of their sandwiches or their creations, it all has a passion. Next down the line, you have Aroma de Cuba. The Cuban sandwiches are huge, just perfect, a perfect Cuban sandwich. He has lots of Cuban appetizers. He has a Cuban coffee, Cuban desserts. Next down the line, we have Mr. Outrageous, burgers and cheesesteaks. And wow, what a burger. What a burger and cheesesteak he has.
It is about the best burger I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal. He also has a food truck that's around Johnston County. You can call them. They'll come to your neighborhood or private event or whatever. Phenomenal. I don't know what's in those burgers, but it is really good.
Marquise makes them with love. That's what his burgers love, I could say. And he also makes homemade cheesecakes, which, he has a featured cheesecake every week. And I actually did a wine tasting and cheesecake tasting with him. And he's just wonderful with it. We also have Luna Pizza, which is stone-fired pizza. They're phenomenal. Phenomenal. Their oven is 800 degrees and it cooks the pizza so fast and just perfect. We also have Joko Coffee, which is a coffee company that opens at 7:00 in the morning, and they do boba teas and coffee. We also have the Ice Storm with the great ice cream options, homemade cones, toppings. We have the White Swan, of course, with all the Southern compliments, fried chicken, barbecue chicken. And we also have Provisions, which is our catering company. And we have the Longleaf Tavern.
Right. And so the Longleaf Tavern is a full service restaurant to go with the food hall sort of quick service restaurant. And Longleaf Tavern, I've been there several times, has beer and wine and spirits and all of that. So you can have a traditional meal or you can go to the food hall, or you can combine them both. And you can take what you get in the food hall and go in there and sit down at Longleaf Tavern and eat it.
Yeah, and we're actually starting prime rib night this Thursday at the Longleaf Tavern. So
that sounds good.
That's going to be a big one. That's for eat in or take out. So, and we're actually going to start a Sunday brunch in the Longleaf Tavern on Sunday. Our first week of both these. So.
Oh man, I might have to go do that.
Yeah,
Longleaf Tavern's great, and they got plenty of TVs. You watch sporting events.
Right.
It's kind of like a sports bar. It's got a beautiful bar. Whoever built that, I mean, was really nice. So.
Yeah, and we have 2 private rooms too that we rent out on right inside of it. We do meetings, we do kids' birthdays, showers, whatever.
Yeah, well, and I've been to a Johnston County Bar Association meeting at Longleaf Tavern. I've also been to a event. Well, I met you at the event for Leadership Johnston. That program had sort of an alumni meeting event. That's where I met you there back over Christmas and got to see a lot of great people with that as well. So, yeah, I really like Longleaf Tavern a lot. I love Mr. Outrageous. Of course, having lived in Johnston County for 25 years, White Swan Barbecue, Linwood Parker, I mean, doesn't get a whole lot better than that. East North Carolina barbecue, fried chicken, coleslaw, just get hungry just thinking about it. So what are the hours of the food hall?
Well, on Tuesdays, it's 11 to 8. And the rest of the week, it's 11 to 9. But on the weekends, on Fridays, we have music bingo. So the Longleaf Tavern's open to 10, and karaoke is open to 11 on Saturday nights.
Okay. A lot of people come do the karaoke?
It's packed.
It's packed.
We have such a great, Cheryl Hoffman does our karaoke's, and we do themes, like we did an ugly sweater party. We actually had pajama night this last week. Everybody came in these robes and funny slippers and things. So we make it fun, and it's such a great crowd we have.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's great. That's great. So we know what does Longleaf Tavern serve? And we know about the burgers and the pizza and the Cuban and the ice cream and the coffee and the barbecue. I mean, you got a little bit of everything, but Longleaf Tavern, is that more of a traditional sports bar, restaurant, wings? What is it serve?
So we're actually starting to serve out of provisions.
Okay.
We're just starting to serve at the Longleaf Tavern.
Okay.
We're starting with the prime rib, we're starting with the brunch, and we're going to start serving out provisions.
Okay. So what are some of the things that you have at Longleaf Tavern, or are they going to have at Longleaf Tavern, other than prime rib?
Well, provisions is serving like lasagna, chicken Alfredos. We're going to start steaks. We're going to do things like that. We're going to do more dinner type meals, more hearty type meals.
Okay. And so Provisions is the catering company that is part of the North State Food Hall.
Yes.
And you run that as well.
I do.
Okay. All right. Where does it cook at?
We have its own stall right beside White Swan.
Okay.
And they supply coffee on the Rayford. We do 2nd Street in Kenley. We do parties outside, inside. We do all kinds of caterings and things.
Okay. So 10 to 1,000? How many, what is y'all's target market with Provisions?
Well, we can do anything. You tell me, we can do it.
Okay.
And like I said, if somebody calls me and says, hey, I need this, we do buffets. We do box lunches to go. We do a lot of the department stores, things like that.
Okay. I got you. And so what kind of things does Provision cook for its catering menu?
We do stuffed chicken. We do baked chicken, fried chicken, lasagna, chicken Alfredos, shrimp scampi, chicken scampi, roast beef.
Right. And is it full service? Can people come pick it up, or will you also go on site, set it up, serve it? Do you offer both? Most catering companies do.
Both, yes. And also, too, we have a full bakery. We do homemade scones. We do homemade brownies. We do homemade pies, anything.
Oh, man, that sounds really good.
A full baker there all the time.
Okay, well, that's great. That's great. Now, also part of the Northgate Food Hall that I don't know if people realize is there's an event space.
Yes.
And they do weddings?
Yeah, at the Longleaf Tavern, it can be rented out.
Okay.
We've done 2 adult proms this year. We've done all kinds of things.
Right. Now, isn't there some event space beside it, like in the building, but well, it's all one building, but not in where the food hall in Longleaf is. Isn't there some other event space there as well?
That is at the Robotics. The Robotics took that over now.
They did. Okay.
Yes,
all right.
But we do have the 2 rooms too. So
Okay.
between the 2 rooms and the Longleaf Tavern, we use that.
Okay.
Have family law questions? Need guidance to navigate legal challenges? The compassionate team at Breeden Law Office is here to help. Visit us at www.breedenfirm.com for practical advice, resources, or to book a consultation. Remember, when life gets messy, you don't have to face it alone.
All right. So And the robotics is this the Joko Robos? What's the name of this team?
It's the Robotics. It's a Johnston County Robotics.
Right. Okay. And they are building. I love this program because I got involved with it when I was on the board of the Johnston Community College from 2015 to 2019, where they build these robots that go around and shoot balls and climb walls and run into each other. And it's really neat. And it's done through the FIRST program, FIRST. And you can look that up if you have kids that are interested in robotics or engineering or whatever. Those programs start with as early as middle school with the first Lego League and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that or you think you have a kid it might be, look that up. FIRST. It's an international program. It's all over the world. Johnston County's teams do fairly well in these competitions or have over the years. And it's a really good thing for these kids to get involved in. It's nice that they have that space there with, next to the food hall as well. So you're not doing, I thought they were going to use that space where I guess the robotics team is to do weddings and big events, but I guess they're not doing that now.
No, we just rent out the Tavern.
Okay.
Which can hold up to 110 to 130 people.
Okay.
So, I mean, we can do that, but we just thought that it was more important to give it to the robotics because it's such a great thing for the community, for the kids, especially, nowadays, these kids, their minds are right on this and what the growth can be. And then the one nice thing about robotics is if kids don't have the funding for it, they find the funding. So nobody's left out. And that's a great thing.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, when I think about food halls, there's things that that I think y'all have done a very good job with. I know it was there before you got there, and I think you've improved it since you got there. There's plenty of parking.
Yes, most definitely. You have to have it for buses, RVs. You have to be attainable because we get a lot of buses coming in. So you have to be able to have that parking available for people.
Right. You have ample restrooms that are clean.
Yes. And when Kevin started this, he wanted the most cleanest restrooms on I-95 because it's the first impression people come in. First thing people do when they're traveling, they go to the restroom. They bring their kids in. Do you want to eat? What happens really goes off those restrooms.
Right. And you got all different types of flavors. Yes. You have local flavors, White Swan. I consider Mr. Outrageous local.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have the Cuban, you got Luna Pizza, which is great. So it looks like you got a lot of different flavors there for people to choose from.
We do. And we're dog friendly. We have a dog park for people to stop, and liquor license goes to the patio up front. So people come in, grab a beer with their dogs on the patio. It's really cool to see. I mean, it's just a fun thing.
Right. There's plenty of seating.
Yes.
Yes. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. Like, what Kevin and Adventure Event Development did in rehabbing the inside, and I got a chance to go, a couple different times as they were doing it. It's like, it's not the same place. Like you go in and you're like, this is unbelievable. Like from the architecture to the way they built the stalls to everything. I mean, they really spared no expense and were very, very, the details, all the details seem to be there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
In my experience with it.
Yes. And we're even talking about later on, opening the back of the Longleaf into an outdoor patio in the back, which is going to be huge for people to do things and keep growing.
Right. Well, let's talk about some of the ways that the food hall has been involved in the community. I mean, Kevin and you and everybody has done a really good job of being in the community. Talk about some of the things you sponsor, some of the events you have there. I mean, there's Santa Claus, I think you may have even had a car show. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the car shows we do are Southland car shows, which we have one coming up in February. And Southland does so much for the community. The one we do helps their scholarship program. We also work with Next Gen, which helps kids or adults who have boundaries get jobs and education. So we have a lot of employees through that to help them with job training. And I love that program. I love to see people develop and be able to grow and keep growing. And of course, we had the robotics that we talked about. We work with the Hope Ministries to get people a new start and a new career, a new life. So that's always a great thing. Some of the events we are working with some local artists, and they do classes and things there. We actually have a Bob Ross and a brew class coming up. And that's where the lady who is actually in charge of the Bob Ross exhibit called me and said, I want to teach Bob Ross classes there. 2 are already sold out. So she put 3 more on. So that's a fun time. We're having stained glass classes. We want all people in the community who teach things to reach out because we would like to help them sponsor, what they're doing.
Oh, that's
promote
great.
that,
That's great. That's great. So what's the price range? Everybody's got to be budget conscious now. Food halls as a general thing seem to have a reputation of being maybe a little more expensive than you might pay otherwise. What are the price ranges of the stalls there?
Well,
of the vendors, excuse me.
The vendors, they all run some specials, like, Mr. Outrageous has a special every day. But, prices in the economy have gone up. So we're comparable to everything. I mean, you can get a hot dog for $4. We have White Swan daily specials, things like that. We're always running Tavern specials. So I don't think we're outpriced for a food hall. I mean, we're comparable with everybody else.
Right. But the average entree is $10 to $13.
I'd say $10 to $13.
Okay.
Yes. I'd say 14 probably at the most.
Okay. All right. And the sides are $3 to $5.
Yes, they are. Like you can get a side of fries for $5, some $4, things
right.
like that.
Okay. All right.
So and desserts are very comparable.
Right. Desserts. That's my weakness. That's my weakness. So when I go to the
you can get a piece of pie at White Swan for $3. So.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's awesome. That's awesome. And the beer and wine stuff, I know that stuff's expensive. Those prices at Longleaf are comparable to other restaurants as well.
You can do a domestic beer for $3. We have well drinks for $4.
Oh, that's a little better than some places.
Yeah, and we do bottles of wine for $20. So, I mean, if you wanted to start drinking a glass of wine, take the bottle home. There you go.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. So anyway, any vendors are always changing with the food hall. If you go now and go in 90 days, it'll be different people. Why is that?
Because a food hall is supposed to be a starting point for a vendor, maybe a food truck who's getting their feet wet to see if they're ready for a brick and mortar. This is their basically trial run, not an expensive cost that they're leasing a whole building or putting all this money into it. This is their practice run, and they're supposed to be always changing, but then you have some that stay too, which is great because they're happy where they're at.
Right. Well, that's true. And then I guess food hall's been there, 2 years?
About 2.5 years. 2.5 years.
Yeah. Golly, I'm getting old. Okay. And there's a couple of the vendors that were there to start.
Yes. Luna Pizza and also Aroma de Cuba.
Oh, that's great. That's great. But yeah. So it's not always the same thing every time. And you have so many different things to choose from. And the thing I like about it, when you have a wife and kids and everybody wants something different, a food hall, everybody can get what they want.
Yes.
And you don't have to argue about it. That's what I like about food halls.
And plus, too, you can just order from the table. You can take a picture of the QR code, order right from your phone, and we bring it right to you.
Oh, that's great.
So I mean, that's fine. In the Tavern the same way. So.
Okay, well, great. That's awesome. That's great. Well, anyway, I know you just started working in Johnston County. You've been living in Franklin County for 12 years. What do you love most about Johnston County?
I love the hometown feel. Like I go into Selma, it reminds me of the hometown I grew up in, Clarion. A general store, a coffee shop, ice cream shop, and just the antique stores. It's just that hometown feel. It's just inviting. It's family friendly. I love that.
Right. So how can people reach out and learn more about the food hall, reach out to you, Lorie Jones, the manager of the food hall? How can they do that?
They can do it by my email through the GM Prospera email. They can call me. I'm there almost every day at the food hall.
Okay. So, what's the phone number at the food hall?
Well, I'm going to give you mine because that's why I have my business card, 919-440-0935.
All right.
That way I never miss a call.
I got you. What's the website for the food hall?
The website it's just the Old North State Food Hall.
Okay.
You just Google it and it comes right up.
Right. All right. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, anyway, yeah. So if you need any catering needs or you want to take your family out to a unique meal, or now we're going to have brunch at Longleaf Tavern, which becomes Blitzen's Tavern at Christmas time. So all that good stuff. The Old North State Food Hall is a great place right there in Selma off of I-95 and exit 97 and Highway 70, part of the Adventure Development Program and all of that and now for everybody who doesn't know already, there's now a Marshall's, Academy Sports, a Hobby Lobby, Old Navy are all there, right there across the street from the food hall. Make a day of it. Go to Selma. You don't have to go to White Oak anymore. You don't have to go to Raleigh. You can go to Selma, keep that money right here in Johnston County, shop local, support our local businesses, and some portion of every dollar in sales tax you pay, the county gets to keep as well. And so if we can keep that business here in Johnston County, it'd be great. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh, I agree with that too. And I'll tell you what the guys like to do. Their wives go shop, and they come sit at the Longleaf Tavern.
Hey, can't go wrong with that, right? So anyway, we would like to thank Lorie Jones for being our guest on this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County podcast. As we mentioned earlier, please like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're seeing it. And if you enjoyed what Lorie had to say, leave us a 5-star review. Leave positive comments down below. We'll make sure we get those to Lorie and the people at the Old North State Food Hall about all the great things they're doing there as well. Until next week, I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden.
That's the end of today's episode of Best of Johnston County, a show brought to you by the trusted team at Breeden Law Office. We thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to sharing more interesting facets of this community next week. Every story, every viewpoint adds another thread to the rich tapestry of Johnston County. If the legal aspects highlighted raise some questions, help is just around the corner at www.breedenfirm.com.